We all know the unspoken rule in the Invincible Universe. The Viltrumites are the apex predators. Their biological supremacy, flight, subliminal travel, invulnerability, and planetary scale strengths set the gold standards for combat throughout the whole galaxy. But strip them out of the equation, and suddenly, power hierarchy, it changes drastically. I'm Kai the Comic Guy, and today, we're ranking the major non-Viltrumite characters into 7 distinct levels, using what I call combat efficiency rating. Strike Force. Can you actually hurt Smart Atom Enhanced Physiology? And for those that don't know, what that means is, can you make a Viltrumite bleed? Durability. Can you survive what the apex predators dish out? Versatility. What combat skill and powers do you have that bypass conventional defenses? And for my show only watchers, fair warning, some of these characters might look a little bit different just because of the comic references I'll be using. Stick around for tier 4. Let's get into it, the street level threats. We'll be blitzing through the bottom tier because frankly these characters exist just to establish a scale. The Mauler Twins, physically strong enough to lift tanks and trade blows with their original guardians, but they're routinely defeated by Invincible. He doesn't really bring much of a sweat. Their durability is high, but finite, genius level intellect, but that doesn't always help when someone can move faster than you think. The Reaniman, D.A. Sinclair's cyberneurotic drones. A single Reaniman can pressure an early series mark, make it work a little bit, but they feel no pain and they fight until they're destroyed. But later in the series, characters can tear through them by the dozens. Their strength lies in numbers. They're a horde level threat. Individually, not so dangerous. Level 2, city level threats. These characters are powerful by Earth standards, but if they were to be involved in a cosmic war against Viltrum, they will be meat shields essentially. They do have a potent offensive output, defensively pretty vulnerable. Let's start off with Titan. The official handbook describes his rock form as possessing superhuman resistance to impact, along with temperature and pressure extremes. He took over Machine Head's organization by simply being tough to kill. Here's a crucial part. He required assistance to handle battlebeast, and he can't really compete with the Guardian's heavy hitters. A city level kingpin, but not a planetary defender. The Shapesmith. The Martian's physiology lets him alter density and shape, allowing him to warp around targets to avoid damage. Martians can temporarily restrain Viltrumites, which is significant. At their core, there is a critical weakness. Damage to the core can mean certain death. Versatility as a spy maybe, or support fighter, they lack the finishing power to compete with the apex predators. Next up, Black Samson. Black Samson's strength ranges anywhere from 20 to 60 tons range. Electrical discharges for range utility makes him pretty useful. Experience as a field leader, nothing to brush off. Sufficient for mid-level tier villains, insufficient for Viltrumites. Last and not least is one of my favorite characters in Invincible. That's gonna be the Rex Splode. In the show, I get it, he's a jerk and he kind of throws explosive coins around and he can be a little bit annoying at times, though his ranking is solidified by a single feat. During the Invincible War, when 20 evil alternate Invincibles invaded Earth, Rex charges his own skeleton, so essentially his bones became a bomb. He creates a massive explosion that's enough to kill an Invincible variant outright. This move, suicide, but it proves he has potential output to kill a Viltrumite, which is important in this ranking. Only once, and it did cost him his life. Under normal circumstances, explosions could cause building level destruction, but skeleton feat, that's level 1 energy compressed into a single moment, which is why Rex sits comfortably at level 2. If you don't agree, let me know why. If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue to make content for you. We appreciate the support. Thank you. Level 3, the strategic assets. These are the elite supports, entities that possess one highly specialized attribute: indestructibility, dimensional travel, along with kinetic absorption. That makes them dangerous, but they lack the power sets to essentially fight a Viltrumite solo. Let's start off with Brit. Here's a character show-only watchers need to know. Brit's skin, eyes, and internal organs are impervious to all forms of damage. He survived nuclear detonations, atmospheric re-entry, and direct strikes for Viltrumites without scratch. Pretty significant, right? There is a catch here. His offense output is limited to peak human strength. He cannot hurt a Viltrumite with his fists. He's ranked here because of his utility as a tactical shield. He can occupy a high tier threat simply by being unkillable. He's a distraction while the heavy hitters can land the damage. Angstorm Levy. Physically, enhanced enough to survive punches from Invincible and snap human bones, but his true danger is in his physical attributes. It's his environmental impact. He can transport opponents to hostile dimensions instantly, worlds with no atmosphere, even zombie wastelands. And against a non-flying opponent, he wins by default via battlefield removal. He's been able to summon 20 evil invincibles at once, and this is in reference to the Invincible War I mentioned earlier. But physically, his body remains vulnerable to speed blitzing. He lacks the reaction time to stop a serious Viltrumite from killing him, even before he can open a portal. High ceiling, though a pretty exploitable floor. Next up is bulletproof. Often viewed as an invincible light, his physiology allows him to absorb kinetic energy and fly. He's durable enough to survive the Invincible War. Debates position him near the immortal level range, potentially higher blunt force resistance due to absorption, but less lifting strength and no millennial experience. These are all specialists, dangerous in their lane, but vulnerable outside of it. Level 4, the heavy hitters. This tier consists of entities with immense physical strength, enough to trade blows with the Viltrumites, but typically lack speed and skill or secondary powers to secure victory against one of the elites. They are the stalling force of the galaxy. The Immortal, closest Earth-level native equivalent to a Viltrumite. He has flight, speed, and immense strength. He has consistently engaged with Omni-Man and Invincible, though the Immortal suffers defeats. The damage he can dish out is real. His resurrection utility makes him a recurring strategic asset, a millennia of combat experience, having lived as a knight, Abraham Lincoln, and also a superhero. Though the caveat to his resurrection is, well, it requires his pieces to be reattached. If you were to scatter him across the universe, well, he's done. Next up is Monster Girl. Amanda's power is sometimes viewed as a curse. The younger she becomes physically, the larger and the more powerful her monster form grows. In her standard form, she lifts in excess of 60 tons and trades blows with all the heavy hitters. The cost, well, continuous use degrades her biological age. If Amanda continues to use her powers, though she grows more powerful, it could also cause her to no longer exist. As we move along within this level, Dinosaurus is next. David Anders transforms into a massive reptilian humanoid, whose strength is comparable to mid-series Invincible. But there is a distinction here. Unlike a mindless beast, Dinosaurus retains his genius-level intellect while transformed. He's able to crush Mark's arms with his bare hands. His claws and teeth are able to pierce Viltrumite skin, so he can be a lethal grappler. The Thragg killed him instantly, highlighting the gap between this level and the top. His tactical intelligence lets him create complex traps and no-win scenarios. The destruction of Las Vegas, for example. He uses his physical strengths to execute calculated plans, rather than mindless brawls. You can think of him as like a Timu Hulk with Dr. Doom's brain. Mr. Liu. Liu's human form is frail, and it's cybernetically sustained. He's the host for a massive mystical dragon. The dragon has held its own against Invincible and the Guardians. Mass sufficient enough to level villages. Teeth and claws capable of wounding resilient superhumans, even Viltrumites. But Liu's physical body remains unconscious and vulnerable while the dragon is active. If you're able to attack the body, then you're able to kill the dragon. And that's the critical tactical flaw, and one of the reasons why Liu stays at this level. This tier is well defined by beings who can survive Viltrumites, but cannot consistently kill them. Alrighty guys, as we enter our final stretch, the gap between level 4 and level 5 is significant. The biggest difference, well, it's between being able to survive a Viltrumite and actually killing one. The Ragnars. The Ragnars are non-sentient beasts evolved on a high-gravity planet. Their muscles are dense enough to tear through Viltrumite flesh. They were even used by the Coalition to injure Thragg. Individually, a Ragnar is a threat. In a pack, well, they can be catastrophic to Viltrumites. But their lack of flight and intelligence severely limits them. A flying opponent can orbit and exterminate them, nullifying their melee lethality. Robot, also known as Rex. He isn't the strongest, but he is the smartest. His threat level derives from his ability to analyze, identify, and exploit specific biological weaknesses in Viltrumites in regards to their equilibrium vulnerability. His final suits are constructed from advanced alloys, likely volcanic tempered titanium and proprietary Coalition metals, offering resistance to Viltrumite strikes. Deployed in massive drone swarms controlled by a singular consciousness. Destroy one unit, the swarm adapts. But what makes these units lethal are their sonic resonance weaponry. These devices project a specific frequency that destabilize the Viltrumite's inner ear mechanisms, incapacitating pain and loss of flight and vertigo. This tech has allowed Robot to neutralize Mark Grayson and also checkmate the entire Viltrumite population on Earth. He's done things like held their children hostage and threatened industrialized execution. As we enter the next season, Robot is still your helpful teammate. In the comics, he becomes one of the most effective dictators in superhero fiction, so keep watching. Eve is theoretically the most powerful being in the universe. Her ranking at level 5 reflects her functional combat state, though we have to acknowledge that she does have level 6 potential under specific trauma conditions. Eve essentially controls matter at a subatomic level. She doesn't need to punch a target. She can turn the air into granite, glass, or even superheated plasma. Her constructs momentarily restrain Viltrumites, but the mental blocks prevent direct transmutation of living animal matter. She can't just turn opponents' blood into lead, unlikely until she's dying. In this unlocked state, she's damage height to Viltrumites like Conquest by flailing their skin with energy constructs, bypassing her vulnerability entirely. She does have significant limitations, such as the caloric burn when using her powers. Massive transmutation requires immense energy, leading to rapid depletion. Prolonged combat also exhausts her. Techjacket is considered one of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, explicitly banned by the Viltrumites due to the threat level it poses on their rule. The suit grants strength conventionally cited as 100 times natural capacity, but records suggest that the scaling is exponential based on the host, so their fitness really matters and also the suit's maturity. By the end of the series, Techjacket fights multiple Viltrumites simultaneously, serving as a frontline heavy hitter in the Viltrumite war. The armor is nearly indestructible. It adapts to damage in real time, manages all life support, and generates energy weaponry capable of hurting elite Viltrumites. As an executive grade, Zachary possesses the most advanced version, greater autonomy and power output versus the standard Galdarian infantry. He comfortably defeats standard Viltrumite soldiers and hybrid clones. Within this level, guys, these are the Viltrumite killers. Specific conditions required, but when those requirements are met, these guys can be lethal. Level 6, the transcendent threats. Everyone within level 6 has the verified capacity to engage, overwhelm, and even possibly terminate the elite Viltrumites. That includes Thragg and Conquest. They shift the balance of the galaxy simply by existing. First up, Space Racer. He's a guy on a space bike. Sounds ridiculous, but he's got a gun, and it's pretty peak. The weapon bonded to the Space Racer is arguably the most potent offensive weapon in the known universe. Its beam doesn't merely inflict thermal damage, it creates a destabilization effect that ignores conventional durability metrics. What that means is it shreds through a bunch of smart atoms, guys. So all Viltrumites are on the menu. The beam creates an uninterrupted path of destruction, piercing stars, planets, and Viltrumites with ease. It has been documented shooting through asteroids and initiating chain reactions that destroy entire asteroid belts. This forces even the Grand Regent Thragg to treat the Space Racer with extreme caution, prioritizing invasion over engagement. But while his offense is level 6 tier, his defense is another story. He survived the punch from Thragg and being buried under rubble for a century. Superhuman durability far beyond human limits. His survival relies on him not being critically hit, so he's a high risk, high reward asset. If he shoots you, well, you die. That's it. Alan was created as a desperate countermeasure against the Viltrumite Empire. His power progression follows a hyperbolic curve dictated by physical trauma. His physiology utilizes reactive adaptation, reconstructing cellular density, muscle fiber efficiency, and or reaction times after near lethal encounters. Let's look at this in stages. So stage 1, Alan was capable of spaceflight, and he had immense strength, but subordinate to standard Viltrumites, easily defeated by Omni-Man. Let's look at stage 2, after he recovered from his first lethal encounter. His power level spiked to rival even standard elites, demonstrated by his capacity to physically overpower Omni-Man, which was previously impossible. Finally, stage 3. At the end of the series, Alan was one of the few beings capable of withstanding the vacuums of space indefinitely, and even trading blows with the strongest Viltrumites while withstanding critical damage. He had experienced a near-death induced biological boost, which had him evolve into near invulnerability. Unlike battlebeast, Alan values survival and objective completion over glory. His telepathic capabilities allow squad-level coordination in the vacuum of space. So how do you feel about Space Racer and Alan within these rankings? Well, these two are classified as Thragg-level threats. They pose a risk to taking the mightiest of the Viltrumites down, and that's significant. We have arrived to level 7, the Apex, also known as the God Killers. Battlebeast is the undisputed king. So how did battlebeast become this strong? Well, he evolved on a planet consumed by perpetual warfare. He had to survive in environments totally saturated in combat and death. He doesn't fight for conquest or ideology. He fights to satisfy a psychological addiction to battle against superior foes. He kind of reminds me of Goku in that way. His strength is categorized as a multi-planetary and combat application. The definitive evidence of why battlebeast is in his tier is he fought Thragg for multiple days continuously. This demonstrates a cardiovascular and a metabolical efficiency that exceeds the standard Viltrumite genome. Viltrumites can hold their breath for weeks. In terms of high-intensity combat, well, their battles conclude in a matter of minutes, mostly due to how lethal some of the blows are. Battlebeast maintained peak output for days, even under duress, even while intentionally injuring himself, which eventually led to his death. He basically doesn't stop peak output until he's entirely dead. His claws and fangs naturally are able to penetrate Viltrumite flesh, a feat few species can claim. When he dismantled the Guardians of the Globe, he treated the engagement as beneath his notice. So what weaknesses does he actually have? Well, his distinct lack of versatility and tactical prudence. No range energy projection or flight, relies incredibly on leaping ability or technology. No regenerative factors either. But his raw stats are so overwhelmingly high, these densities rarely manifest as liabilities. His X factor is his rigid code of honor. His willingness to handicap himself, gutting himself to ensure a fair fight, makes him strategically unpredictable, but susceptible to manipulation by pragmatic opponents who don't share his same warrior code ethos. Battlebeast is the strongest non-Viltrumite in the Invincible Universe, and that is all. So there you have it, guys, the architecture of invincible power levels without the Viltrumites. 7 levels that help us make sense of Robert Kirkman's beautiful chaos. Here's the main takeaway, guys. The non-Viltrumite power hierarchy has to be taken in context. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lore and the power scaling, smash that like and subscribe button for more content. Keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on the stars. Excelsior, my fellow nerds. Kai out.